Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Tales, Season 5, Episode 13. I'm your host, Rod. Today I'm here with the Adulting with Autism podcast host, April Ratchford. How you doing today?
I am good.
Thank you for coming on, Unfiltered Tales. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I am an occupational therapist by training. I am also autistic myself. I raised an autistic son. I have everyone in my family is autistic except my sister. So,
Mm.
here we are living the dream.
So, how would you say would that happen with everybody except your sister?
I, you know, we don't know. We're trying to still figure that out. Like, we're thinking it's genetic on my dad's side.
Okay.
So she just happens to be the one that keeps us all together, the voice of reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she's
Okay.
noticed all our quirks, but she doesn't really have any
Mm.
quirks.
Oh wow. So you guys you said it comes from your dad's side, so she has a different dad?
No, she's got the same. We have the same dad,
Same mother.
the same mom, but
And it
she
just
just
and it just did not get her.
she it did not get hurt. All her kids are
Wow.
autistic. My kid is
All her kids
autistic.
are?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. So
that's wow.
but it
Wow.
a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh!" But both her older kids graduated from college. Her oldest son
Mm-hmm.
graduated from Bethune
Cookman.
Cookman with a degree. My niece EKU with a degree, and then she's
Okay.
got a younger one who's 10,
Okay.
and he's still on his journey.
I get you. Okay. So, you know, um, so I guess we should start. So how does your personal experience as an autistic occupational therapist and a parent of an autistic young child, and you being autistic as yourself, shape everything that you do in life?
So I really didn't figure it out until I started my podcast, until
Okay.
I started speaking with other people and started connecting dots. And I was like, oh, that's why I do the things that I do. And with my son, because he's on one side of the spectrum and
Hmm.
I'm on like another side. So we sometimes clash.
Okay.
So just because, and it's true, like if you met one autistic person, you met one autistic person.
Hmm.
So it is truly a spectrum. We may have things in common, but personality wise and experience wise, we're very different.
Okay.
So, but I'm proud of him. He's 23
All right.
and now he's going to Marshall University this fall.
Okay. Thunder and Herd. Okay. Go Herd.
He is, yes, he is now part of the herd.
Okay. So you say you're on one side and he's on one side. So, like, for the audience, like, how does that work? Like, one being on one side of the spectrum, the other being on that side of the spectrum.
So he may take things very literal.
Okay.
And I have to sometimes tell him, you don't always have to say everything that's in your head
Right.
because he will spew it. And I'm like, no, no, there's a nuance to language. And I think a lot of it too is because growing up as a Gen Xer and not being diagnosed and put that label on, I
Hmm.
just had to deal.
Right.
So I just had to learn the ins and outs. Whereas, unfortunately for him, and I love my field, I really love occupational therapy, but I think we accidentally put labels on and then we don't let them grow like they should
Right.
and fall and experience. So then they end up not really understanding the world isn't really tailored to them like we tell them it is. And then here we are, 80% of autistic adults not employed and wondering why they can't find jobs and why it's so hard for them to navigate.
Right. Okay, we had a comment. My child speaks four language and is autistic.
And that's the great thing about them. They when they love what they love,
Hmm.
they'll go all in. They'll
Right.
go down the rabbit hole. I right now have decided to learn Korean
Okay.
just for like no other reason because
So you
I want
speak Korean.
to just go to Seoul, Korea, just to speak it.
Okay.
When my son was young, he we moved to Germany when my mom died. He ended up
Okay.
learning German in
Hmm.
school, speaking English at home. His little friend was Greek, so he learned to speak Greek. And the cartoon he absolutely loved spoke Mandarin, so he that's the languages he learned.
Okay. So
So
does he
kids
still
will
speak that today?
absolutely not. But
Okay.
the great thing about languages before the age of 12 are stored in the same area language center as their primary language. So even if he picked up a language, another
Hmm.
language, it will come easy for him. So my cousin speaks Spanish fluently, and if he's around her long enough, it just comes back like that, and he'll automatically speak it. So kids are they're sponges, and that's any kid, autistic or not. Give them something they love to involve themselves with, and they will go for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just any person. If you love it, you're going to go deep into it. And I'm going to speak from a child to a teenager because all that shit goes out the window when you become an adult. You
Right?
have so much other stuff to do and you can't focus on that thing that you used to do, because you got work, you got bills, you got to be a parent, whatever else you got going. But as a child through a teenager, you don't have anything to do. So you can absorb it, like you said, as a sponge, and I can just do what I want to do and nothing bothers you. But I'm not shocked when you said your 23-year-old doesn't speak it anymore because it's like if you don't use it, you kind of lose it.
Right. And it's just like anything. People think, "Oh, you do peds." Absolutely not. That's not my skill set.
Right,
I do adults for a reason.
right,
So, just like I tell any of my adult patients, you either use it or you lose it. You can't not just do things and expect it to be there.
right.
But
So
also,
no, go
I
ahead, go ahead.
tell I tell adults, you still need to play. Adults need to play to learn.
Right,
And it's not like a child thing. You still need to play like a kid in order to learn new things.
right. So when you say that to adults that they need to play, what is their initial reaction when you say that?
They look at me like I have two heads, but I make them think about it. I'm like, so think about when you're a kid. What did you love as a kid? And I make them sit and think. And
Right,
when they say, well, I love this, I'm like, then why aren't you doing it? I'm like, you have to make time to do what you love
right,
in order to learn something new. And that's the beauty of occupational therapy. We all need to learn to do something new to keep our brains going. So,
okay. So to keep your brains going. So when you have these, well, I guess I wouldn't say that because they come to you because they notice it, but what are some of the denial things that people, the adults go through? Like, nah, I'm not that. What are some of the things that the signs that they deny that should be like, yo, you possibly could be autistic,
so for those that like to be in denial, and it's understandable because you've learned to mask for so long,
hmm
like those, a lot of it is your routine. Like if you have a meltdown because you get out of your routine,
hmm
you might want to think you might be neurodivergent. Or if you are in your 40s and your diet is still hamburgers, french fries, and pizza, and you won't deviate from it or even try anything else, you might have an issue with textures, or any kind of sensory thing, you just know you're neurodivergent
Hmm.
because it's you'll see things or hear things and you're like, am I or I I used to be that. I could be. If you think you are, 9 times out of 10, you just know. You, like if you listen to your song on repeat like for an hour, you know.
Okay.
Nobody go ask your
Nobody's gonna do that.
neurotypical
Nobody's gonna
friend.
do that.
Yeah, no neurotypical friend is sitting there listening to BTS for like an hour, the same song. I am. But
Right.
you just know. You know it down in your bones.
No, I get it. So, what are some of the common challenges autistic young adults face after high school, and how do you suggest addressing them?
So I'm gonna tell parents, and like I said, I love my field, but I think we've dropped the ball. The rainbows and lollipops and unicorns that we've sold, that autism doesn't end at 18. They're gonna have it for life,
Okay.
and there's not always supports after high school, and across the nation, it's not uniformed
Okay.
because here in Kentucky, we don't have a lot for our young adults.
Hmm.
It's nothing there. There's not a lot of engagement. They're online. There's not a lot of programs. Whereas maybe out in California, they have programs that transition into maybe they need transitional programs, maybe they need schools, or teachers may need to talk to parents and be realistic and say, hey, we need to stay, set up a plan. Are they ready to be on their own?
Hmm.
Are they ready for college? Do they need vocational school? What do they need? These are conversations that have to happen after school. Parents may not realize your kids still can receive services like speech therapy for executive functioning skills, social skills. You can still receive occupational therapy skills for independent living skills
Hmm.
until they're at least 21.
Someone said Maryland has a lot of programs, but you have to be in their ass to get it. So,
Preach that, girl. You just gotta kick them in the ass because
so
they won't do anything.
that was my next question, but for she brought it up. For Buddha Goods brought it up. Since it's not streamlined across the country, which nothing educational is streamlined across the country, everybody's doing their own thing. Would you say by you being in a smaller state, Kentucky, versus the resources that are like a Maryland, a New York, or California has, that is a hardship on those artistic young adults there that's in like Bowling Green or
It is
um
tougher, like because we're such a rural community,
right.
and and with now coming down with the Medicaid cuts, it's
Mm,
going to be even tougher because now hospitals are going to shut down, programs are going to shut down. Um, we already have autistic, you know, young adults having to go all the way 2 and 3 hours just for like programs like Carl D. Perkins, like Job Corps,
mhm.
3 hours, and not everybody's equipped for that. Like,
Right. They
there's
had
a
the
lot of
funding to
the,
get there.
yeah, and not everybody is, you have to be tested into that, and not everybody survives those assessments and behaviors, and parents don't know what to do, or parents don't have the supports, and it's frustrating for parents because as they grow older,
Hmm.
the community gets smaller because I don't know what happens. It's like your kids get older and then you're like, where's my community? Because when they're kids, you have this big community, and then they get older, the community gets small. And it shouldn't be that way. And so that's why I started my podcast to try to help get resources out there. If there's anything that parents need, or let them know you're not by yourself. We're out here. We are out here as a community. There's more of us.
Right. So for those that don't test into the program, what happens?
So what if there? Where it gets really tough. The t- if parents don't, they're on their own, and that's the tough part, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I started the podcast. So because I myself had to go on this windy trail because there was no. I was looking for a podcast called Adulting with Autism to tell me what to do because I was an OT and I was like, I don't understand. Why is there no OT telling me what to do? Because I'm
Right.
not in that arena. And that
Now
was
you are
like,
the arena.
now I'm the arena. And I'm like, well, shit. So
Right.
I'm trying to bring it in and bring it out. And my goal within the next year, and parents pray for me for this one, is to create a foundation big enough that if they need supports for housing, mental health, the transition programs, colleges, you name it, then if I can provide it like an 80,000 year transition program and you need it, parents, then I can provide it. That's my goal because
Well,
it's
some
just not
you were recommended by her sister, and she never listened to it, but she says she's gonna listen to it now. This is one of my faithful listeners
sweet.
right
Thank
here.
you.
Oh man, so she threw me off track with my next question. Okay, so you couldn't find the arena.
I
So
couldn't
what?
find the arena, so
Because
I
you couldn't
created.
find the arena, so that made you say, I gotta be the arena.
I gotta be the arena. After my son had a horrible time at EKU because no one told me there were colleges out there with autism specific supports in place,
Okay.
and he had um a traumatic
You don't have
experience
to
in
explain what
college.
happened. You don't have to explain what
Yeah.
happened.
So I was like, I will never let another kid go through that. And
That's
the
good.
unfortunate thing is, I had a classmate whose autistic son went to the same school, had the same experience. And I was
Mm,
like, you've got to be shitting me. And they had an OT program there. And I was like, I'm done. So I started the podcast, and my fiance was like, here's a mic. I was like, is that all it takes? I don't know if I'm ready. He said, he just threw the mic at me and said, yeah, that's all it takes.
no, you were born ready. This is part of your calling. So you mentioned these colleges. So EKU is not one. I know you. It's probably a list, but if you can give us like two or three, I'm figuring Marshall's one.
Okay, so I'm going through. I love my state of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go to Western Kentucky. They charge an extreme amount of money for their autism support program.
Mm,
It's like 17,000. So, but Marshall only charges 3,000 for their autism support program, but and they have a program to in the summertime to see if your kid is ready to go,
okay.
and you can use um, the FAFSA to pay for it. Like, they're one of those schools that are like, we want to make sure your kid is ready and not blow your money and go into debt. If
Okay.
they're not ready, we'll tell you what they need to do to be ready if that's where they want to be.
Okay.
Mercyhurst is another one.
Mercyhurst. Okay.
EMU, Eastern Michigan University, is
Okay.
another one. Um, there are many out there. If you think your kid is not that college kid,
Mm-hmm.
there are programs like college internship program that will focus on them and their living skills. And they can either go two routes: vocational, or they can go and start their college career at, a community college, and they focus on them being independent adults, and they can
Okay.
stay as long as they need to. Now, with that, because they don't go by federal government, this is an out of pocket expense. So if you
Okay.
have like those 501(b) programs, or you have like some federal programs will pay for it, especially in California, because they are. out of California too, and I know California will pay for it.
Hmm.
Um, you're in Kentucky, eh,
Okay.
sorry, I tried. It's like a lot of red tape, but
Right.
that's like I said, that's why I wanted to create a foundation because these are great programs, and the reason
Hmm.
they're so expensive is so they keep them small and they focus on what students need versus the red tape of what the government wants. So
Right.
it's out there. You just have to research it. And um, generally in April, I run a 30-day straight event and try to bring schools and programs onto my podcast
Okay.
and people to just bring information there. So if you go to my podcast, I have in April for OT month and autism month of 30 straight days of guests. And they have their websites and everything. There's actually an interior designer that is autism based, sensory based. I didn't know she was out there until she came onto my podcast.
Mm. Okay. Well, so my question is, since you said there's not many federal funding, so when are we going to see the April Ratchford scholarship for these children? I know it got to be coming.
Listen, I'm trying. I, I'm weaving and wobbling and bibbing and bobbling as I go, and still working full time as an occupational therapist, figuring it out as I go. As soon as it's out there, I will let you guys know.
Okay, I got you.
I do have cool merch though that is very autism face in your face forward.
Well, we have it right there. We have your link tree with adult with autism. We have it. For the viewers out there, they can look for it. But so back to what we speaking. So you said, as a child, I understand as the older you get, the more people sway away from you. But with the condition being autistic, I would expect like those that village to kind of stay the same even when you get older. But you said it gets smaller. So why do those individuals kind of just say, "I'm backing off of this"?
I don't. Good, good question. I think it's simply because things when you think kids go off, you think your kids going off to college, they're not in special groups anymore, they're older, and there's just not that community group like there
Hmm.
used to be. There's not like, hey, we have adult kids living at home
Right.
community. There's nothing like that. There's like no play groups for moms or dads, things that because I don't think people thought beyond 18. I'm like,
Hmm.
no one thought kids would still be at home at 18. And I'm like, still living at home.
Right.
They're going to be a little bit behind their peers if their neurotypical peers don't mature until 25 and they're 30% behind their neurotypical peers, then they're going to be a little slower. And that's okay. It's not you, parents. They're just a little bit slower than their peers. And they're still on track. They're just a little bit behind. They'll get it together. My son got it
Right.
together. I promise.
Okay. I believe you. I get it. I totally get it.
I listen. I tell my son all the time. I could fail college 5 times. I got it together at 30. I know
Right.
that horrifies some of you out there, but don't. You got to remember, like maturity is life experience, and if they're behind their peers, I didn't
Right.
mature until about 30, and then it clicked, and I was like, Phew, I took off.
And I mean, I just even wouldn't say just being autistic that it happens, but it's even with James being a person itself.
Hmm.
Your time, your place, your moment.
Right,
Some people get it early in their 20s, some people get it late in their 40s. Shit, Oprah didn't get
right.
rich until her 40s. So when it's your season, it's your season. So, it's just
Right.
everybody got their own situation. I mean, you have The one of the funniest things, well, not funny, but it's funny to me. Like some of my friends I went to high school with, and they like, yeah, some of y'all just becoming parents at 35. I've been a parent at 22, so I'm spending my whole 40s just having fun. While you putting a child together for pre-K and kindergarten and first grade, my
I'm
children are
done.
grown. So it's like sometimes I think it's a process that you have to go through. Like everybody's going to get where they're trying to go, but there's going to be hurdles, whether they're good or they're bad. You just have to weather the storm and just be ready for it. So you get it at 15, you get it at 30, you get it at 45, you get it at 50, you get it at 60. You have people graduating still from college at 65, 70 years old.
And you can't measure success by somebody else. Your version of success is somebody may not be somebody else's. And I had to realize that when I was going to do a research project before I started this, and
Hmm.
my professor, Dr. Rob McAllister from Spalding, said, "How are you going to measure success? Because not everybody's measurement of success is the same." He blew my project out the water, and I was like, "Shit."
Right,
I was like, "He's right." So you have to let your idea of success go and look
right.
at your kid and say, what do you think is going to be successful for you? And then they'll take off.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing in this today in society, especially in 2025, is you have to find your own measuring stick for success. What's on the internet does not equal the success that others have. And then another thing is people don't show you the grit and grind. They just show you the final
Mm-mm.
product. And you really don't know what they went through. So it's just like maybe
Right,
you didn't go through anything. Maybe you just inherited a crazy insurance policy or you inherited money from somebody and now it's this. Then you got somebody who been dragging along for 30 years and finally like, I got it. I figured it out.
right.
Um, because one of the things when I was watching Ironheart, Marvel on Disney, and when she said a million people got ideas, they just don't have the money.
Exactly.
And that's what you need, the backing.
Exactly. Like some people don't have money, or you got to be really creative and say, how can I do this with this amount of money?
Correct. Correct. Definitely. So so you spoke about going to college. You spoke about vocab schools and life trade schools. So if nobody wants to do that, how can employers create more inclusive environments for artistic employees? So this guy or woman after high school, I don't want to do none of that. I just want to go straight to work.
Okay, well that's where we got the challenge because we are in an outdated system
Okay.
because look at where we live. So we're using systems that are so outdated. Who asks these questions anymore? Like you can go into a job and you can have your job, but you're going to have to play the game. And
Right.
that's what we didn't teach them is we got to play a game.
Right.
We just told them, "Hey, the world's going to accept you for you." No.
No.
And what we didn't tell them is you still have to code switch, which being minorities ourselves,
Hmm.
we know how to code switch very well.
Yes, you do.
And so those of you that are not minorities, it's just the same thing, code switch.
And
And
you got to
so
turn
what
it on,
we
turn
have
it
to
off.
teach them is unfortunately in some places you are going to have to put on that mask because there are some places that are not neuro friendly yet.
Right.
Is it getting there? Slowly but surely. It's because stereotypes are still in place. It's listen, everybody wants to say autism is just this. You heard what that man said
Right.
about autism. Like we're all out here and we're never going to get jobs or have families.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I heard it.
And not gonna pay taxes. And so, if I ain't paying no taxes, can I have mine back, please?
That's another story for another day.
Another day. But you're gonna have to realize that not all jobs are there yet.
Right.
And you're gonna have to be patient. You can't go in there and be fierce and say, make it this way. That's that's not how it's gonna work. It's gonna take a collaboration on both sides of the company and being your own advocate. You're
Hmm.
not your parent. You have to be your own advocate and you have to be smart about it.
Right. Okay. So we got probably two more. So in what ways, which ways schools and community programs can better prepare autistic teens for life after graduation?
That means we got to start earlier. The sooner they learn how to advocate for themselves and get in and know what they want, the better. That means those IEPs,
Hmm.
they need to be in there as soon as first grade. As boring as it is, you need to know and they need to know what those IEPs are and how to advocate for themselves and learn what works for them. You don't know, you're not in the classroom.
Right.
They know what works for them. So they need to learn how to advocate for themselves because eventually you're going to let them go and they're not going to know how to advocate. Number two, to prepare them for the world, you're going to have to start way earlier. They're going to have to start in middle school.
Okay.
What are we going to do? They need a plan just like their peers already had the plan. I had a plan right in high school. What do you want to do? Here's your major. You want the college route? Okay, what do you want to do? Here's your classes. We're going to set you up so you're going to be prepared for college and go. My son, I was like, what are we doing? What are, you don't have languages? What
Mm.
you cannot, they have to be just as prepared as their neurotypical peers for the world. Give them the same choice.
Right.
Like if you know they're not going to be the college route, then hey, we need to make a second route.
Right.
So it's got to go earlier. If their parent is not involved, then we we need to do something earlier so they can be successful on their own because parents you're not going to be around forever.
Right. I got you. So I guess that answered my question then. So you say what roles do advocacy play in improving resources and opportunities for the autism community? And you just said the parents got to be there for them. So I guess that kind of answered my question.
Get out there, parents. Just and for parents that don't know, you're masking the same. You're masking too.
Right.
Don't be afraid.
Like
Take
like
off
we
your
got
mask too. You,
like we got early in the show. Maryland has a lot of programs, but you have to be in their ass to get it. So you got to go to extreme lengths.
you
I'm
do.
assuming. So um, thank you for coming. So if
Thank you for
anybody was looking for you, wanted to talk to you more and reach you, where could they find you at?
all my socials are on my link tree. So I'm always on there. You can always message me or DM me on my Instagram, which is on there, or my link or my LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'll message people back if you have questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you.
Okay.
Believe me, I am not the end all be all person.
Well,
I'm
you are the arena.
I'm the arena, but I don't have all the answers. So, but if I don't have it, I will find it for you.
All right. And what day does the podcast come on?
I released on Wednesday and Saturdays.
Okay.
Typically, I am on all platforms, even YouTube. So you can see the video of it on Saturdays on YouTube and all the fun stuff, Apple, Spotify. I'm actually on an Indian platform called GeoSavan.
Okay.
So if you're in India, I got you too. So
She says she was the arena. She's everywhere. She's playing home and away games. Kentucky at home and India on the road. But again, if you want to watch this, you can watch this again on Friday. But if you want the audio, you can listen to it on Friday. Everything come, y'all been here before. It all comes out on Friday. You'll get the message from me, and then probably an hour later it'll shoot out. So I don't control the platforms when they put them out. I just tell you I put it up, and then it comes out.
Right.
So, but thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Miss April, and explaining to us, like living life with autism as an adult and, clearing up some things for some people may have. So, like, you were recommended to somebody already, so you got a new listener already.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
uh, you know, Thank you for coming. So, next week, same time, same place, 7 p.m. with Miss Cho next week, where she's had some stumbling blocks and she turned them into stepping stones where she can tell you how to reinvent yourself after going through abuse, divorce, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's negative, and reinvent yourself and coming out on top. I see you next Wednesday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Unfiltered Tales. Don't forget to check out Adulting with Autism tonight. Our new episode dropped today, and check out our new episode on Saturday. See you next week. Should be over.